Hello there. I'm Michael, known around here as Agent E, and this is my favorite Batman show of all time, Batman the Brave and the Bold. This show ran from 2008 to 2011, lasting for 3 seasons. The show was much lighter in tone than the average Batman show.
Are you seeing what I'm seeing? Because I'm seeing gorillas riding pterodactyls with harpoon guns, stealing a boat.
It's Gorilla Grodd.
It's messed up is what it is.
Adding humor alongside the action.
We're tired of being treated like second-class superheroes.
I think that's a bit of an exaggeration. I've always treated Speedy well. Quick! Retrieve my boat from that crocodile pit!
And though it didn't neglect the titular hero, it did give equal attention to the other heroes and villains of the DC universe. It also featured the voice talent of Diedrich Bader as Batman instead of the usual Kevin Conroy. An average episode of The Brave and the Bold follows Batman teaming up with another superhero to take down a supervillain, usually with an even smaller story before the opening theme song. Episodes tend to be isolated from each other, with only a few storylines that span multiple episodes. What normally would be a formulaic and forgettable show instead became a showcase, one where everyone in the DC universe got a chance to shine. 1. The expansive supporting cast. This show had everyone. Red Tornado, a red robot with the power of tornadoes, never gets the attention he deserves in other media. In this show, he actually got featured as the main character in 2 episodes, one where he wishes to experience the Christmas spirit as a human would.
It's overrated.
Observation. I am not the only one who lacks it. Perhaps this will help us both.
You shouldn't have.
And one where he wishes to build himself a son.
Creating life in a laboratory is a dangerous game.
Observation. I have no delusions of perfection. I have installed a fail-safe switch that can instantly shut my son down should he malfunction.
Did you say son?
Family is something we all long for, even a robot.
Or what about the inclusion of the Ten-Eyed Man, Doll Man and the Freedom Fighters, Detective Chimp, The Question, the G.I. Robot, Jonah Hex, and the Haunted Tank?
Nothing's gonna save you now! Mother of pearl! A haunted tank driven by the ghost of Jeb Stewart!
Ma'am, this northern aggression has forced me to do you bodily harm.
Or what about making B'wana Beast a main character in a multi-episode arc? This show exposed me to heroes and villains I would have never encountered anywhere else. And they still had time to feature the big names. Aquaman, Green Arrow, Plastic Man, the Green Lantern Corps, The Flash, Superman, and Wonder Woman all got dedicated episodes. The show did a great job balancing episodes between the characters you expected to see and the ones you've never heard of. And I think that creates for a very interesting TV show.
It's not the venue, it's the company.
If this had solely been a Batman show, you would not only risk retelling the same stories as the original Batman the Animated Series, but also force the writers to focus on the characters they don't feel strongly about. Not caring about the source material results in weak portrayals of those characters. On the other hand, the only reason why you would write a story about Red Tornado is if you care about that character.
Oily discharge. I must run an internal diagnostic.
If you didn't, you would simply choose a different hero to make the star of that week. What this means is accessing a big cast of characters allows the writers to pick and choose whomever they want to write about, based on their personal preference, thus improving the quality of each episode. After all, a show like this lives or dies by the strength of the characters. 2. I love the betrayal of these characters. All these depictions to me are iconic. I will always think of Babyface as the stereotypical prohibition mobster,
What you all standing around for, see? Let's scram!
and Crazy Quilt as a blind narcissist with terrible fashion sense. Care went into these usually forgotten characters to make them great, something that's not easy to do. And it's not just the small characters this show does well with. Robin's transformation into Nightwing is a powerful and epic multi-episode arc. Aquaman embraces his camp and becomes adventure-loving comic relief.
Aquaman, are you hurt?
Yes. I'm hurt that you didn't tell me you were stopping by. How are you?
Who can act as a serious side when needed. And he can sing.
Who are you? Just a man or a Superman? The man we turn to for the plan. Who are you? Just a man or a Superman? The man we need to take a stand.
Beat that, Jason! This show did what many comic book movies failed to do: discover the core to these fantastical characters and determine what makes them unique, what makes them relatable, and what makes them interesting. You have to understand the appeal of that character if you have any hope of an interesting portrayal. You need that foundation. The Brave and the Bold did a great job portraying not just the characters' strengths, but their inner weaknesses too. With Plastic Man's greed and criminal history, Guy Gardner's arrogance, and Green Arrow's need to prove himself, we get more well-defined characters in these 20-minute episodes than some live-action movies. And they all feel different. The Blue Beetle feels different than Booster Gold, who is different from Shazam, who is different from Firestorm.
Listen up. Some of you are inexperienced, naive, arrogant, or eccentric.
With a cast this large, it would be easy to have these characters share similar molds, but I never felt that happened. It cared enough about each character to demonstrate to the audience why they deserved your attention and interest. When given only one episode to flesh out a new superhero and supervillain, it is easy to make them one-dimensional and boring, but enough care went into crafting them that they have stuck with me all this time. But I can't talk about putting love into characters anymore without talking about him. 3. I love this Batman. This Batman has a lightsaber in his utility belt. How cool is that? To me, this is the ultimate Batman. He's smart.
What do you make of this, detective?
The granite demon crumbles in your city's bloody frame. When 10 o'clock she strikes, I'll never sleep again.
Stumped, I see. Well, luckily my powers of deduction tell me that it's actually a veiled reference to the gargoyles at Mignola Chapel.
Actually, Granite Demon is an anagram for Demon Etrigan, Blood's alter ego. Bloody Frame refers to framing blood, and I'm sure 10 o'clock indicates the number of victims.
He's a fighter.
How?
They tell me it's all about will, and believe me, will's one thing I've got plenty of.
He's resourceful.
You've done it again, hero. And that's some set of pipes you're sporting there.
Actually, I'm more of a baritone. I was only able to match your voice with the use of this Bat auto-tuning amplifier.
He's a leader.
So suck it up and put on your game faces.
He's a hero.
You can't control my fate, Equinox. My life. Mine to sacrifice.
This Batman has been to space, Atlantis, and other dimensions, all to help in the never-ending crusade of justice.
You're lucky I keep Star City so clean, Bats. Otherwise, I wouldn't have time to pick up your slack as an intergalactic cop.
Yes, I remember when I was only responsible for a single city instead of a country, planet, solar system, and overall existence of all known life.
I'll grant you that this is not him at his deepest or darkest, but for a Saturday morning cartoon hero, he's the best. And keeping this Batman rather shallow actually does a great job supporting the other characters. People already know and love Batman, so by keeping him at maximum awesome, the show has a stable foundation that the other lesser-known heroes and villains can use. Asking Red Tornado to carry a whole episode by himself would be too much.
Ah, I am feeling a strange tingling sensation.
No matter who the guest star is, there exists a guarantee of a great Batman. And Batman isn't exactly a static character. We see him get a little cocky when dealing with his best buddy and longtime rival Green Arrow.
Afraid that I'll show you up again, Bats?
Again.
As in, always?
As in your dreams.
Or become more gentle when dealing with the newly created Metal Men or Outsiders.
With Wildcat's help, who knows? Maybe these outsiders have the makings of something bigger.
Just as the side characters all feel unique, so too does Batman's relationship with that character. This allows for Batman to remain interesting, despite the fact that he remains relatively unchanged throughout the whole series. Batman may not change, but his relationship with the Hero of the Week sure does. The Batman shows that I've seen that don't use a guest superhero storytelling approach fall into the same kinds of problems. Either one, they have to put limiters on Batman's powers in order to give him room to grow, which can work from a narrative standpoint, but is just arguably less fun. Or two, risk the overall storytelling turning stale as Batman has already reached the pinnacle and there's nowhere else to take the story. All this being said, this isn't the one right way to depict Batman. I just think what the Brave and the Bold did was make the best and most appropriate Batman in respect to the stories they wanted to tell. 4. Favorite episodes. If I piqued your interest in this show, let me recommend some of my favorite episodes. Mayhem of the Music Meister, a full musical episode starring Neil Patrick Harris as the Music Meister, a villain with the power to control people with the power of his voice. Not only do the songs seriously rock, but it does a great job with a Black Canary and Green Arrow subplot. Game Over for Owlman, when evil Batman disguises himself as our Batman and turns all of Batman's allies against him. With no superheroes to turn to, Batman must turn to the one man best at fighting the Batman, the Joker. Chill of the Night, where the Batman faces the man who killed his parents, in a serious and dark tone that is completely different from every other episode. Sidekicks Assemble, an overall solid episode starring Robin, Speedy, and Aqualad, alongside their mentors fighting the fiendish Ra's al Ghul. Batmite presents Batman's Strangest Cases, an episode that involves Batman teaming up with Scooby-Doo and Weird Al to stop the Joker and the Penguin.
Our favorite wacky songster, Weird Al Yankovic.
Another one writes the rest.
Scooby-Doo, Batman, and Weird Al. It's the holy trinity of pop culture.
Joker, the Vile and the Villainous. A twist on the usual formula where Joker teams up with other supervillains in order to take down Batman. And then, there's the finale. Part 5. The last episode. In the final episode, Mightfall, the extra-dimensional and fourth wall-breaking Batmite gets tired of Batman, the Brave and the Bold. He's convinced that if he can get the show cancelled, that it will be replaced with a darker and more serious show. Meanwhile, Ambush Bug, played by Henry Winkler, tries to thwart Batmite's plan.
Cousin Oliver?
He may be ridiculous, but you of all people should know that Ace the Bat Hound is an accepted part of the Batman universe.
I wasn't referring to Ace. I was referring to his new nephew, Punchichi.
Let me at him. Let me at him, Uncle Ace. I can take Gorilla Grodd any day.
You fiend!
And as the two all-powerful beings fight over the fate of the show, Batman can focus only on saving the day. Even when confronted with the fakeness of his reality, he chooses to continue to fight for what he believes in.
Does this mean we'll be able to save the show?
The important thing, Aquaman, is that we save the day. That's our job.
As the show is cancelled around him, he gives one last speech to the audience. Something that always makes my eyes water.
So, this is really it.
Yeah, looks like. At least you can say you had a good run.
A great run. And until we meet again, boys and girls, know that wherever evil lurks, in all its myriad forms, I'll be there with the hammers of justice to fight for decency and defend the innocent. Good night.
I love this Batman, and I love this show.